guys, welcome back to EAK TV, and I'm delighted to have Gregory Klumov with us, the founder and CEO of Stasis. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Tell us, Gregory, what brings you to Paris Blockchain Summit?
Well, first of all, it's biggest European country to endorse crypto-friendly legislation. So I'm very excited about it, that the Maltese fire that we lighted up a couple of years ago finally spreading. And more countries are looking to adapt friendly regulation, legislation to support this asset class, to support entrepreneurs who experiment with business models in the sector.
Okay, perfect. And I understand you're speaking, or you have a panel?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about what you're discussing? You can take
Sure. Well, I speak about stablecoins and the involvement of institutional investors into the space. I come myself from institutional money management. I ran a hedge fund for 15 years, and I was so obsessed with the global macro processes, global central banks printing $20 trillion equivalent since the global financial crisis. So I was looking for an asset to get exposure to that will benefit from this, excessive monetary policy. So that, and Bitcoin naturally caught my attention. So that's how it all started.
And I understand that there's a story behind the name Stasis, so can you share that with our viewers?
Yeah, sure. Well, like any asset class at its beginning, say emerging market equities, cryptos are too volatile, right? Now this fancy word stablecoin is utilized among the marketplace participants, but before that, when I thought about a stable coin, I thought about something to transfer value over blockchain between counterparties that doesn't fluctuate in price that much. So stasis in physics is a state of equilibrium. It's when all the forces are equalized, all the forces that influence particular asset. So that's how I came up with the name and with the product, which is a crypto euro, basically euro-backed one-to-one with actual euros, using Ethereum network as a rail to run.
Okay. So given that you're working on the Ethereum blockchain, I guess scalability is an issue that you guys are very interested in, obviously. So what's your how are you guys planning to, obviously, I mean, eventually you're going to want, obviously adoption of your token, so I imagine that we're going to need a high transaction speed. Is that an issue that you guys are thinking about right now, like working on the Ethereum blockchain? Like, are you looking at other options potentially, or is that, are you just focused on Ethereum?
Yeah, we have a special R&D department that focuses on the underlying technology. To an extent, we're a blockchain agnostic, so we will use any blockchain that is secure enough. And so far, there are only two, Bitcoin and Ethereum, that are secure enough to transfer significant amounts of assets, of value, and you can be sure, it's too hard to hack, interfere into this transaction. But I will bring an example of a company called Real Networks, and it still exists. Not a lot of people know it, but it was the first company to introduce video streaming in the internet. And it failed with its product, Real Player, because the internet was not ready back then. It was 1998, 99. There were business models like Netflix or YouTube were not possible back then for obvious reasons. But this company tried it really hard. So so far we don't have any capacity constraints because we are definitely not in the micropayments. So, and if you transfer like 100,000 or 500,000, it's not a big deal, right? So you could wait a couple of minutes to make that transaction happen. In fact, we will be hosting another meetup tonight. We call it Stasis off-chain, where people can pay for drinks using our stablecoin. So and we had a couple of those events the last couple of years, and they were okay. So I assume even for small payments, not for micro, but for small, we're still good with Ethereum.
Perfect. Okay. And what was it that made you choose the euro as opposed to? I mean, I heard there's a Korean one. Is it Terra coming out these days? So obviously there's so many different currencies. Why did you choose to go with the euro?
Well, I want to challenge the oligopolistic dollar financial system. And the way system works in custody, clearing, settlement, it's so centralized. And literally these banks that were too big to fail became more bigger and more impossible to fail because they'll bring, spillover damages across all the world. So I want to create an asset that will be alternative to dollar. And euro is an obvious choice because it has second biggest economy, like population-wise, GDP-wise. And has huge trade balances with all over the world, with African countries, with Asia. So it's a very convenient currency to trade in.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so, I mean, I've seen Stasis around that number of events that I've been to in the last 12 months, if not more. So I'm really interested to hear about, how far you've come in this last 12 months and what your supporters and your community can look forward to in the next 12 months as well.
Sure. Well, the actual preparation to launch the product took us more than a year. The product was launched last summer, and now we are into 8 months runway. We have 32, give or take, million of euros issued, and we have money coming in like every other day or so. So after the recent spike in crypto, we've got more attention. And we've got more clients that we are onboarding. We also will introduce another product, which is a tokenized index of altcoins. It's a basket of major altcoins, ex Bitcoin, that you can buy with one click. So you don't need to hold multiple wallets. You don't need to hold, multiple different assets. You just buy one Ethereum token, and it will be fully fungible and backed by the underlying altcoins.
And which altcoins are you looking at?
So just the major ones. So if you look at top 10 by market capitalization, you extract Bitcoin and their forks out of it, so you'll get a good sense how it could look like. And this index is already accepted by NASDAQ. Since January, it's available on all institutional terminals like Bloomberg Raters. I think it's the second index that has such adoption after the Bloomberg Galaxy index of Mike Novograt's firm.
Yeah, okay. So what kind of clients are you currently working with? Who are your biggest users of Stasis, and what different kind of target clients are you actually hoping to work with?
So first of all, we have institutionals, small family offices, small hedge funds who are based in Europe or who have euro as a base currency, reporting currency. And these guys are looking to trade, invest in crypto, obviously, right? They do arbitrage between different exchanges. They just do small allocation, delta one allocation. But also we have commercials, so commercial clients who do payments and remittances. We have one client who remits euros into his country where he has employees and pays them with this currency. We also have another client who just does do remittances in Asia. So because what blockchain disrupts is clearing, custody, and settlement, right? Yeah. And settlement, cross-border settlement, country-agnostic settlement is where it's really disruptive. So cross-border payments is a natural fit. So we are going after that market as well.
So obviously, given your client base, you have a lot of access to institutional investors, I imagine crypto funds, VCs, etc. What's the appetite with those clients right now to get into the market? Obviously, I'd say we're probably still in a bear market, just about. People are always going, we just need to wait for the institutional money to come back in, or even to come in the first place. And I just want to know what's kind of health check of those their opinions.
Sure. One of the partners in our network is a licensed brokerage company. They have around 1 billion in client assets, and these clients have around 4 billion in assets under management. So say they allocated 1% of their assets under management into the sector. This will give you a good color how they are looking at it. Say they're just stepping into the market. So it's just very small pieces, first attempts to try and trade this market. They can easily allocate 5-10 times more and not breach any significant covenants or waitings or risk limits. So it's all just starting, and I anticipate this year will be the year of institutional involvement, with so many products rolling out focused specifically for institutional investors, like BitGo and custody insured by Lloyd's. Fidelity is introducing an institutional product. So things are starting to lean towards these type of clients, and that will bring next couple $100 billion in capitalization into the asset class.
Okay, so I understand that I think you mentioned previously that you might be launching an index. Can you tell us a bit more about what that is and your plans for that?
So very simple. Index is something institutional use to measure their performance. If you are a fund or a crypto trading strategy, you have some benchmark to beat, right? And what institutions do, they short some benchmark and they long some particular asset they think will outperform. So we will have a natural supply, natural sellers of this token, right? While retail guys, they just want simplicity. They want with one click buy a product and don't care about all the wallets and storage of these assets, right? So you've got retail buyers from one side and institutional sellers on the other side who will trade this index. And it will be a tool to measure performance for institutions and just a ETF to get exposure for retail. If you think about ETF market, it has grown to almost 10 trillion US equivalent right now. It has outgrown the hedge fund space, which is now less than 3 trillion. And when I started in hedge funds, it was the other way around. ETF market was less than a trillion and hedge funds were around 3.54 trillion. So 15 years forward, hedge funds actually lost the market share and ETFs have significantly grabbed market share. So I anticipate similar trends to happen in tokenization space.
And when is that index available? Is it available now, or is
the index is already available, it's live, but the token is not yet. So this is what we are working on currently.
Okay. Just looking at the current news cycle, obviously last night there was some big news about Binance delisting Bitcoin SV. What's your view on that in terms of like delisting the Bitcoin SV? Are you supportive of CZ on his decision?
Well, I'm very skeptical about all Bitcoin forks, to be honest. I think there can be only one Bitcoin, and the network security is actually a key component here. So you really want the network to be decentralized enough, supported by enough mining capacity. So the key, the most crucial feature of the blockchain network, any blockchain network, is the cost of messing with the network. How much does it cost to try to make 51% attack or any attack on the network? Because at the end of the day, institutionals who will want to move millions, hundreds of millions, want to make sure the cost of hijacking these transactions or attacking the network is in billions. So they want to move amount that is like a fraction of what it could actually cost to harm the network. And obviously Bitcoin SV is nowhere near that level of security that other blockchains are offering, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum ones, which are the most secure networks right now.
Okay, and can you tell us about one controversial maybe opinion, or one opinion that you hold that maybe isn't like a widely held opinion that people have about the crypto and blockchain space? This could be anything. This could be one day Bitcoin's going to go to zero, or like there could be anything at all that you think could happen.
Well, there is a common misperception that Bitcoin is used in illicit trading, like whatever, drugs, right? But if you do some research, you'll realize that the most widely used currency in illicit trading, like drugs and arms and all that, is United States dollar. So this is what we will be disrupting, I mean, with blockchain, where everybody comes online or available on the blockchain, audited, immutable, irreversible, without any counterfeits. And actually, US dollar, $100 note is the most counterfeit currency in the world, right? So everybody is trying to print that and to sell it somewhere. So this is what blockchain disrupts. You'll get a transparent ledger of all transactions, and nobody will be able to hide there, right? It's my typical pitch to all regulators when we started this Maltese movement, and now we're talking to other regulators to endorse crypto-friendly legal approach and framework is, look guys, it is better than cash because it's so transparent. You can track all the transactions back to the origin, and always if something goes bad or you have some police report or investigation, you can always backtrack and figure out who did what, and you can take action. And it's impossible with cash, right? You just take a bag of cash and you disappear, and you trade whatever illicit stuff you can with it. So I think this is what society still underestimates, how this technology can help bring all the markets to the level of transparency not seen previously.
Okay, so finally, where can we find out more about Stasis? Which events are you going to be at in the next 3 months? What's your website, Telegram? Tell the followers where we can follow you.
Sure, so you can find us at the Telegram, Stasis Community. Sign up for our newsletter at stasis.net, and follow our social media in Facebook, LinkedIn. We will have some news for you shortly.
Okay, Gregory, thanks so much for joining us today. Guys, that's EOK TV. Remember to subscribe below and catch us next time.